The royal docking spire of the celestial hive glittered under the light of 3 moons. Inside the vaulted receiving chamber, the air thrummed with the subsonic hum of deference. The queen stood upon her dais, a being of elegant chitin and shimmering membrane, her multifaceted eyes observing the procession of the new interstellar delegation. It was a formality, a diplomatic gesture to welcome the upstart species known as humanity into the wider galactic community. Their reputation was one of unsettling resilience and strange humor. Her primary consort attended her, his antennae twitching with calibrated attention. Yet the queen's thoughts were distant, pulled into a past she rarely permitted herself to recall. Her previous consort, her first, had been lost to a void collapse decades prior. He was a memory of sharp angles and gentle stridulations, a ghost that lingered in the architecture of the hive, in the color of the twilight sky. She had mourned and moved on, as a queen must. The human delegation approached, a cluster of bipedal figures in stiff formal uniforms. They were soft, unfurred, their faces expressive and strange. The queen performed the ritual greetings, her voice a melodic click-hum that translators seamlessly converted for the humans. Her eyes swept over their retinue, past the ambassadors and aides, to the pair of human guards standing at rigid attention flanking the rear dot. Her neural impulses stuttered. The world seemed to tilt, the gentle hum of the hive fading into a silent roar. One of the guards stood with a familiar posture. His human face, with its flat features and singular pair of eyes, should have been utterly alien. Yet the set of his jaw, the way his brow sat, the slight, unconscious tilt of his head as he scanned the room, it was a mirror of a soul lost to the void. The resemblance was not just striking. It was an anatomical echo, a cruel trick of cosmic biology. The same proud line from forehead to nose, the same calm, assessing stillness in the shoulders. Her ex-consort had stood just so, watching over her, a silent pillar of strength that the queen felt a membranous flutter deep within her thorax, a physiological response she had not experienced in years. Her primary consort sensed her disturbance, a subtle shift in her pheromone signature. He leaned closer, a discreet click of inquiry. She silenced him with a minute gesture, her gaze locked on the human guard. The guard, for his part, remained impeccably professional. His eyes, a deep brown unlike the luminous orbs of her kind, continued their disciplined sweep. He showed no sign of noticing the monarch's scrutiny, though he must have felt the weight of it. The reception concluded with strained formality. The queen, usually a paragon of regal grace, found her words clipped, her movements abrupt. As the delegates were led to their quarters, she issued a quiet, unheard command to a hive attendant. Before the human security detail could be reassigned to their embassy wing, a specific request, framed as a royal honor, was transmitted. The guard-bearing designation Human Security Officer Leon would be offered the post of temporary ceremonial sentinel at the inner royal garden. It was an unprecedented choice, placing a non-hive being so close to the royal person, but her word was law. Leon was informed by his superiors. It was a bizarre, potentially risky assignment, but diplomacy often required unusual accommodations. He accepted, his face a mask of professional neutrality. The next solar cycle, he stood at his post in the royal garden, a place of bioluminescent flora and crystalline structures. He wore his dress uniform, a stark, dark blue against the shimmering organic greens and purples. The queen arrived, dismissing her usual attendants under the pretext of desiring solitude. She approached him slowly, the clicks of her limbs on the polished path the only sound. Leon saluted, as per the protocol briefed to him. "Your Majesty." "You may stand easy," she said, her translator lending her voice a soft, ethereal quality. She circled him, her multifaceted eyes taking in every detail. The resemblance up close was even more disconcerting. It was in the slight asymmetry of his smile when he acknowledged her command, in the way his hands rested behind his back. "Your designation is Leon?" "Yes, Your Majesty." "You find our hive strange, Leon?" "It is beautiful, Your Majesty." "Different, but beautiful." His answers were careful, polite. Beauty is often found in difference, she mused, stopping before him. "Tell me, do humans believe in echoes? In patterns that repeat across the vastness of space?" Leon considered the question. "Some do. In our stories, sometimes we say someone has a familiar face, or that history rhymes." "A familiar face," she repeated. The phrase clicked perfectly in her mind. And if a face were so familiar, it seemed a piece of one's own past returned? What would your stories say of that? Leon met her gaze, his own eyes reflecting the garden's gentle light. He had been briefed on the Queen's loss, a matter of public galactic record. A strange puzzle clicked into place in his mind. Her intense scrutiny, this peculiar assignment. "In our stories, Your Majesty, that is often a test. Or a gift, sometimes both." "A test," she whispered. She reached out a delicate, chitinous limb, then hesitated, withdrawing. "My first consort. He was lost. The void took him. Your face, the angles of it. It is an echo of him. It is. Unsettling." "I am sorry for your loss, Majesty," Leon said, and he meant it. The raw, undisguised ache in her translated voice was universal. "I can only imagine that seeing an echo would be painful." "Painful?" "Yes, but also fascinating." She settled on a nearby crystalline perch. "You are not him. Your biology, your thoughts, your scent, all are human. Yet the pattern persists. It makes me question the randomness of the universe." Leon remained silent, allowing her to speak. He was a soldier, trained to observe and protect. In this moment, protection seemed to mean listening. "He was stubborn," she said, a soft stridulation entering her voice, a sound the translator did not render. "Fiercely loyal. He would stand just as you are, a silent watchfulness that made the entire hive feel secure. It is a quality I see in your posture. It is a common trait among those who stand guard, Majesty. A duty to something larger than oneself. Is that why you do it? For duty?" "It began that way," Leon admitted, his formal stance easing a fraction into something more conversational. "But you see enough people, enough places, you start to do it for them. For the idea that everyone deserves a moment of peace, of safety. Even queens." The Queen was utterly still. Her ex-consort had said something profoundly similar, long ago, before he was first, when he was merely a guardian of the outer spires. "I do not just guard the hive. I guard the peace within it." "Your echo speaks similar words," she said, the wonder evident in her tone. "It is humbling." For several cycles, the Queen visited the garden. Their conversations moved from awkward observation to genuine, if cautious, dialogue. She asked of Earth, of human concepts of family and memory. He asked about the hive, about the nature of collective harmony. He learned to read the subtle shifts in her antennae, the soft clicks that denoted amusement or contemplation. She learned the meaning behind the slight crinkles at the corners of his eyes. Her primary consort watched with growing concern, then with a dawning, quiet understanding. He saw not a replacement, but a reconciliation within his queen. The ghost that haunted her was being given a voice, and in the process, its power to hurt was fading. The human ambassadors were bewildered, but pleased. Relations had never been warmer. They attributed it to the Queen's fascination with their culture. On the final day of the delegation's stay, the Queen stood with Leon at the overlook, watching the 3 moons align. "Your people depart tomorrow. Yon, your echo will leave my hive." "The echo will, Your Majesty," Leon said softly. but the understanding remains. You shared your memory with me, and I will carry it. In a way, so will he. A story told is a kind of preservation. She turned to him, her brilliant eyes reflecting the lunar light. You have given me a great gift, human. You took a ghost and made him a story. A story I can remember without sorrow. You have guarded my peace. Leon offered a slow, respectful bow, not from protocol, but from genuine respect. It was an honor, Your Majesty. As the human ship departed the docking spire, the Queen stood on her dais, her primary consort by her side. She felt a lightness she had not known in decades. The human had not been a replacement, nor a mockery of her past. He had been a key, turning in a lock she had sealed shut. The resemblance had been a doorway, and through it, she had not retrieved her lost love, but had finally, properly, said farewell. In his quarters aboard the departing vessel, Leon looked at a data slate containing an image of the crystalline garden. He thought of a lonely monarch and the universal language of loss and recovery. He had come as a guard, and he had stood his post. But his duty had not been to protect a person from physical harm. It had been to safeguard a memory, allowing it to finally, gently, rest. And in the heart of the celestial hive, the alien queen, for the first time in many years, remembered her first with a click of pure, unburdened affection, and looked to the future with a serene home. The universe, it seemed, was not random. It was, on occasion, perfectly and kindly aligned.